Yeah.
Okay, welcome everyone to Camper Intersection Workshop. We're going to have a small training of how you can reinforce your Axel housing for Land Cruiser cars. Because there's mostly a bit of challenge with the Land Cruiser when it comes to the shock absorber bracket. Actually, this is the shock absorber bracket. So at times you find it breaks. It creates a crack around here. And if you don't repair this, if you don't weld this crack earlier, or if you don't reinforce it earlier, you find the whole part of this shock absorber it can go off from the main axle housing. So also there's another challenge when you look at the axle housing for the Land Cruisers. There is always a bit of challenge around here. At times you find there's a leakage here. So when you have such a problem with the leakage, you'll have to take off this part which holds the line for the brake fluid. So you take this part off, so you have to groove it. Then after you finish grooving, then you have to weld. Then when you finish welding, that's when you will put this part back. Because this part is very important. It holds the line for the brake fluid. Then there's also another challenge. At times you'll see leakage around this area. So when you see such a leakage, so which means you will be losing your oil inside. So you will need to repair this leakage. It will be the same thing whereby you will have to clean this original welding, then you groove, then you weld. But the welding is only done. It's not done with any welding rod. So you have to use low hydrogen welding rod. That is E7018. That one in welding terms is E7018. Because of its high tensile strength, and you see the axle is under vibration. Because when the car is moving, the car is not moving on a flat surface. At times there are potholes because there are a lot of bangs up and down. So that's why you have to use a welding rod which has high tensile strength. And this low hydrogen welding rod, you can only weld it with a DC welding machine. Because with the AC welding machine, you will not achieve the welding because it always sticks and the welding will not be continuous. That's why it is advisable when you are using low hydrogen welding rod, you have to use a DC welding machine. So I'm going to show you, and you will see how we do the reinforcement, which can also help you out here, because here we want to teach each other. Because when it comes to the engineering world, you don't only learn things for yourself. We are learning these things, and we need other people to also learn from us how they can help themselves, like in the field. Especially this one happens especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where I see the roads are very bad. That's when you will see this thing. But in Europe, you may not see such a crack, and you will not see the shock absorber bracket being broken, or you will not see any crack on the axle housing. So normally we reinforce it. If you look at this is a flat bar. This is a mild steel flat bar. This mild steel flat bar is, if you look at its dimension, it is 16 millimeter by 4. But you can, if you cannot get 16 millimeter by 4, you can use 16 millimeter by 6 or 16 millimeter by 5. 5 is the thickness, or 6 is the thickness, but 16 is the width of the flat bar. But when you are welding, now you are welding, when you are going to start welding, normally this flat bar, you don't start on this side, because this side is not flat. So you start on the side which is flat. So when you put it around here, you can tack it, because tacking with low hydrogen is a bit difficult, because low hydrogen is very difficult when you want to use for spot welding. So you can use ordinary welding rod. You first spot here, then you spot also around here. So you will knock it with a hammer until it comes round. Then you can use a clamp to take it to the border, which you will see later when we are going to do this. But you make sure when you are starting point should be the flat side of the diff. Like if you see here, the flat side is on this side, but if you look on the other side, it's also the same. So you make sure you start on the flat side, because if you start on this side, you will not take this part of the flat bar will not go in. So you have to start on the side which is not accessible to the side which you can easily access. So now we are going to see how we are going to do it, and you will also learn from there. So to start it, you need to, now this is a welding machine. This is a Fragma welding machine. It is a DC welding machine. It's not an AC. So make sure when you are doing such welding, you have to use a DC welding machine, and you have to use a low hydrogen electrode. Those are the most important thing you need to put in your mind when you are doing such a welding, on things which are like under vibration, things which are like on tension, because of its high tensile strength. It's very important when you are doing some work. You have to look at what am I going to weld? What is the purpose of the welding? And that one makes you to choose the welding rod and the welding process we are going to use. So here we have connected our machine. So you make sure your clamp is tight. So now here our machine. Now here our machine is on, but here you will adjust the current. So here you adjust the current accordingly. For some, like if you look at the box of the welding rod, it can, like, it depends. If you're using a welding rod of 2.6 of 2.5 or 2.6, so you will adjust according to the current according to the thickness of the welding rod. So this is actually the welding rod. This is the one which we call the low hydrogen welding rod. At times you get it it is a bit longer, at times it's actually the size of a normal welding rod. But what you should look at is especially this part where the branding is. So when you see this E7018, it tells you that this is a low hydrogen welding rod. So there's also, as I was saying, we have here an ordinary welding rod which is E6013, which we are going to use to do the spot welding before we do the full welding on the outside. So this one let's start from this side. We'll get the welding mask. Because when it comes to the welding, you need to protect yourself when you are doing the welding. Because at times, if you don't protect yourself, you'll have like itches at night. So make sure when you are doing welding, you have a welding mask and you also have your mask, the nose mask. Because the nose mask protects you from the fumes. Because these welding fumes are very dangerous. And make sure when you are welding this axle, make sure this part of the knuckle, you have to cover it. But how do you cover it? You can get a towel or a wet cloth, you cover this part. Because if you don't cover this part, the sputters from the welding can come on it, which can also damage this part, which can also cause the knuckle arm, to leak. So you make sure this part you have protected it like the way I'm doing with the wet cloth, whereby when the drops from welding fall here, because it is a wet cloth, it will just cool itself. It will not hold on the what. So now this we have two types of welding mask. This is auto darkening, and that is the normal one. This one changes by itself when you are welding. The moment you start the weld, it turns to dark. But the other one, it is the ordinary one. So you make sure you also make sure you adjust it. So this is and here you can either use for grinding. This is when it doesn't change. But now when you turn it like this, you turn according to how dark you want it to be. If you want the darkness to be slightly lighter, you keep on adjusting according to the numbers. There's number 9, 10, 11, 12. These are the numbers they normally use to describe the weld, actually the glass of the welding. So here, so you can put on this. Actually here is my colleague, he's a mechanic from Tanzania. So we are doing this training together such that when he goes to the field, it can also help him. He can also introduce himself. By name, I'm Ambaku Boniface. I'm a specialized technician and a welder, but mostly here I do more of car welding. I concentrate mostly on the car welding, though I do some part of welding logistics. But now currently we have to now do what we do on cars.
Yes, for me, I'm head from Africa, special mechanic from Tanzania. I just come here to do such kind of training so that when I'm working from the field, I make sure that I can manage such kind of activities that involve such kind of process.
Yeah, actually, if you see this is an intersection workshop. It is belong to MSF. That's Medicine Sans Frontiers. At times people call Doctors Without Borders. So we work, but we need to help each other. So that's why this training is not only for MSF welder. You can watch it and it can also help you out there. So we are going to start. So make sure you put on your mask to protect you from the film.
Michael, you are there?
I'm there.
You ready? That one is mine.
Where's mine?
Give it to him.
So which one is that?
Wewe wanatewali gani?